Shalom, Baruch Haba. Hello, welcome to Sarid. My name is Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have not already, please subscribe and hit the little notification bell icon at the bottom so that you don't miss anything. I like to always begin by giving all praise, honor, and esteem to Yahuwah Alohiym and to his Ben, Adonai Yahushua Khamishshiym, who accompanies us on this journey. Hallel Yahuwah, Todah Rabbah. To the Khamishshiym out there, I want to thank you so much for your comments and for your supports. If you are joining us for the first time, I recommend that you go back and watch the very first video release, as it explains much of how this edut is to flow. That is not explained in some of the other videos because of the length that it would take to do such a thing, but I am encouraged that for your comments concerning these things. And as I have mentioned before, although we are looking at scripture and we'll be looking at scripture, this is no ordinary scripture study. This is an edut, a prophetic teaching, a testimony of the things that were carried in the wilderness and stored in and beside the Aron Brit Yahuwah, what you know as the Ark of the Covenant of Yahuwah. It is very precious to him. It was given by Yahuwah, and the people were to set it up when they crossed the Yarden River. They were to set it up on the stones and then go into exile to execute it. And later a descendant of the people was to come and bear that witness to be shown to all the world of what happened to the tribe of Yehudah. And then Adonai Yahushua would gather the people to return to their possessions. Now the latter part of this will happen in a 7-year period of time that has already begun. And this is the mystery of Alohiym, as spoken of by Yochanan in the book of Hazon, chapter 10. That's Revelations chapter 10. Here in this part of the edut, we see the Khamishshiym Yowm, the 50th day. And from the very beginning, there is a separation of those who would receive the inheritance, and in the later verses, those who were eaten up and did not keep the oath of the agreements that were given on the mountain. This is one of 3 times in the year where all were to appear before Yahuwah with a true witness. And without further ado, we'll jump right in now. Here in section 8, another of the Khamishshiym come into play. Khamishshiym are statutes, civil enactments prescribed by Alohiym and inscribed in the Torah for the people to do. They are for specific issues, mainly everlasting life, and used in times of judgment. If the people executed them, he would give favor and life. And if not, he would allow them to be persecuted and destroyed. It is a decree and something marked out. Therefore, highly important, since the life after death is the main focus of all of Scripture. The Khamishshiym, like the mitzvah, were put in place to help preserve the seed and, most importantly, identify Yahuwah's hand in their deliverance. In this way, he separates himself and his people from demonic traditions that influence religion and give rise to demonic names declared for salvation. Proper speaking is required above all in the instructions of the Khamishshiym. Khamishshiym give keen insight to what really happened in the story. They are the third witness. We will continue to look at them as we travel this section. This one identifies with the man and his wife, and between a father and his daughter in her youth in her father's house. Found in Midbar, or Numbers, chapter 30, 1 through 8. Verses 9 through 12 do not line up because there is no widow in the story. The Adut picks up at verse 13 through 16 to finish that witness. We will look at Alohiym, Deuteronomy 28:54, followed by the witness in Midbar and how it plays out in Estar chapter 4, verse 5. And the word of Yahuwah is declared. I will line up the first 3 verses. The sensitive and very refined man among you will be hostile toward his brother. Then Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes. Then a star called Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, whom he appointed to attend her. As we break down the survey on these lines, that word for sensitive there as we begin H7390, for those of you who are taking notes, Rach means to be soft and delicate, to be weak of heart and timid, fearful, to be soft of words, also means to be soft of treacherous words. Treacherous meaning guilty or involving betrayal or deception. Hazardous because of hidden and unpredictable dangers. So they were betraying Yahuwah with the deception, and things truly have become unpredictable and hazardous. These are hidden things. This man was very refined. Anach means to be dainty, pampered, and delicate in build. His statute. Delicate meaning requiring sensitive or careful handling. Tactful and considerate. Skillful and finely judged. He would have understood the word Kodesh Nekra. Very refined. He was also among you. He was part of the people. He was part of the people. But he's going to be hostile. That word there, Yara, also has a word ayin. Ayin Yara, or Yara ayin. It's talking about his mental qualities. His mental qualities. And Yara means to tremble or quiver. It's used of displeasing news, the current developments threatening life, displeasing news. He was respectful of the situation. He was probably using the wrong speech because of the word for sensitive in the exchange also means to speak of soft, treacherous words. You know, the treachery they use today, people, they'll say, God bless you. You know, that's treachery right there. You know, they were probably using something akin to that in those days, that type of treachery. However, he was refined and tactful, and this is probably why a star called him. She needed somebody to pay attention to every word because of the situation. Tactful enough to read between the lines. That type of tact. He's going to be that way toward his brother. Ach. The word for brother, the Hebrew word for brother is ach. H251, brother of the same parents. Or half-brother of the same father. The same ancestral gene pool. A relative of resemblance. This is another reason why a star chose him to bear the message. He was a slave, a eunuch, cut off from the people, but he had knowledge to be tactful. And over in Midbar, according to the Kukwat, then Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes. Why Moshe? Why does he come into play here? Why did he speak? Well, his name means drawn. His name means drawn. And so we look at the meaning of his name. So the one drawn in the survey was over in a star. It was Hathach. He was drawn. He was the one speaking to both Mordecai and a star. He was drawn. He spoke to the heads. H7218 was Rosh, the upper part, the chiefs, the choicest, the best of the division at that time, the best of the division that had come under the authority of Madai and Perez, the best of them. The heads of the tribes. The word there for tribe there was, this particular one was Matei. Matei, H4294, was the staff, the branch of a vine. Here we see the branch of a vine here. And so this one is the tribe of Yehudah. This identifies the tribe of Yehudah. The best they had to offer. A star was in the king's, inside the king's gate, and Mordecai found himself outside the king's gate, but they were at the king's gate, and that's what set them apart. They were the choicest. And so the word declares then a star she called Hathach. He was the one drawn. Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs. Hathach, his name means verily, certainty, very sensitive and very refined. Okay, he was set apart person. He was cut off from people, but he was the one whom the king had appointed to attend her. And so here, the word of a star is identifying the verse in Devarim. Yahuwah declares the sensitive and very refined man among you will be hostile toward his brother. When that was written, this adut hadn't been done. And so here, a star called Hathach, this was the one that was appointed. He was the one that the word spoke of, sensitive and very refined. It was him. It's right there in the verse. Toward the wife of his bosom, the midst, meaning to enclose. That word there, chayet, for bosom. This speaks of the close relationship of Mordecai and a star. Though she was married, now the bond was still there. Isha, the woman, or the female or wife. It is not good for a man to be alone. I will make a helper comparable to him. The bosom. Hawa came from the bosom of Adam. And Mordecai raised a star, so that was the wife or the Isha, the female of his bosom. And over in Midbar, this was concerning the children of Yisrael. And so they were in distress, and here this kukwat comes into play. The children of Yisrael. Yisrael, H3478, simply means Alohiym prevails. He is identifying himself that these are things concerning the children of Yisrael's deliverance. And Yisrael has in the history a woman at certain times that gave aid to a man, such as the time of Deborah, here in the survey line, and a star, again, here in the survey line. Now, to help you better understand these things, Sarid, we have released a video regarding this woman called the Morning Star, Part 1 and Part 2. I recommend you go back and look at that. And I will add, it is something that no religion of this world order has had knowledge of till now. Neither has it entered into their heart to know these things. This is the mystery of Alohiym. He has revealed it in this edut, yet another phenomenon. Who will hear? And she gave him a command concerning Mordecai. Here the heads begin to speak. And she gives him a command, much like it was in the days when the women took the reins and began to give instructions for deliverance here. She gave him a command concerning Mordecai, a little man. she gave the messenger a command concerning this little man, someone many had not known of, a worshiper of Mars. His worship was not of this world order, is the understanding on his name. He was a little man, the worshiper of Mars, what Mordecai's name means. It's not of this world order. People aren't going to be doing the things that he's doing. It's not going to be found in the religious world order. People aren't going to understand it. And Yahuwah declares the command that is going to be given is toward the rest of his children whom he leaves behind. So Mordecai has left some people behind. And we look at these people here, the rest. H3499 was Yeter. All the tribe of Yehuda was left behind. The rest of the people, they were trying to figure out what was happening. The city of Shushan was perplexed, and they were worshiping the lie just like they were taught by the master race at that time. Yet, they were all getting persecuted now, dying in the streets for no reason. This is what laying in sack and aphor is symbolic of, is dying in the streets. This is happening to a particular people, if they will hear, dying in the streets now. This is a three-way conversation between a person who knows the truth and one who can help, and the messenger who is relaying words between the two that can help. They are on the inside where you need to look to get help. That's where the disease is, this catastrophe, the understanding of the letters, how it affects you, make you feel a certain kind of way now. You know you're going to die. A star was inside the king's gate, and Mordecai was speaking to her from outside the king's gate, and the eunuch flew back and forth like a Moloch, a messenger, taking a very important message that was very sensitive and refined. We're talking about some very important knowledge. But he leaves them behind. H3478, Yether, was the verb for Yether, means to preserve alive, to save. To preserve alive, to save. It means to excel, to show preeminence. Mordecai, he begins to excel, to go beyond what the scientists and leading religious experts were not talking about. He began to excel. They were left behind to figure out what Mordecai had already figured out. This little man had already figured it out. They were spiritually lying in the worship. They wouldn't listen to him. And the reason for the death and destruction of those letters, that the religious institution, that Haman, the stuff that he wrote, religion was the reason. This understanding is all over the world, as revealed in each one of the videos concerning the counting of the Yom. Identifies all of the treachery there and what the word of Yahuwah has to say about it. I suggest you go back and watch those. Why else is it called the coronavirus? You can find out that there. This is associated with a church now. Corona. If you have not seen the video release, I believe that one was the Judgment of Passover, Part 2. Go back and look at that. Get a chance. Encourage you to go back and review all of them. This is no ordinary scripture study here. This is an edut, a testimony of things that have happened and are happening now. It is just another prophetic phenomenon that occurred during the revealing of this edut, left them behind. And over in Midbar saying, this is the thing which Yahuwah has commanded. He commanded this thing. He commanded this thing, this word here, this thing. A thing is an object that one need not and cannot or does not wish to give a specific name to. A thing. This thing that brings a wave of destruction. This thing will cause death. That's what this thing is here. He's got this thing going on. He's commanded it. Once again, to learn what and why this was. To learn what and why this was. And I'm here to help you learn what caused the current global pandemic that you now face called the coronavirus and why this is happening. False religion. All of them. And those letters, beliefs concerning what happens after death and what you have to do to be saved. This is what all religions have here now. This is the cause of the virus. Yahuwah Alohiym sent it. This is his edut, and it is written, here to come now. Here to come now. This is not a Bible study. This is an edut. You need to wake up here. It's a wake-up call to the tribe of Yehudah, the ones who came over on the slave ships. It's time to leave the false worship of the slaveholders. Come out of them. Worship Yahuwah Alohiym. It's about what you're speaking here now. This thing trying to take your breath. You must worship Yahuwah Alohiym and receive the favor of his Ben Adonai Yahushua. Everybody. You know, Muslims, y'all under the same oppression. Hindu, it's global. You need to wake up. You need to wake up. Otherwise, the highlights of your persecutions will be reoccurring enactments with no one to save you. It's going to be a reoccurring thing. This is the thing Yahuwah has commanded. And I have been revealing it from the very first video. It was revealed to us over in March, as I've declared many times. This is the thing that he's commanded. Devarim 28:55 will line up with the reading concerning the Kukwat and how it plays out in a star. Verse 4 or verse 6 and 7. Here we go. Begins to speak about this messenger here. So it says, so he will not give any of them the flesh of his children whom he will eat. The flesh, basar, the basur, flesh of the body, the flesh as frail or erring against Alohiym. Erring means having failed to adhere to the proper or accepted standards, having done wrong. The eunuch was cut off. The flesh of his children, whom he will eat. Here comes Adam and Hawa. The serpent deceived me, so I ate. When you lie to your children about scripture, you are setting them up to make it to Sheol, to hell, the everlasting fire. You owe your children the truth. To do good is already instilled in us. It is what is taught that is the problem. Your best behavior is as filthy rags to Yahuwah. All of life centers around him and what he has spoken and written for all the world. And whatever is contrary, well, this is false religion. People are being eaten up. On your belly you shall go was the curse on the serpent. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. I believe was the command to the serpent, to eat dust, the very makeup of Adam. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return, eaten up by the serpent. Something has tricked you. Midbar. The Kukwat declares, if a man makes a vow to Yahuwah or swears an oath to bind himself by some agreement, the star declares, so Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square that was in front of the king's gate. So hatat, verily, he certainly made an oath. He knew of the word of Yahuwah. He went out to Mordecai in the city square. That word for square there was rechob. It was a street, a broad place, open place, a plaza. The verb means to grow wide or to grow large. It was the city there was a excitement, a place of waking garden. Ear is the word there for city. Is a watch post. Means to be aroused, to stir up in the sense of opening the eyes to expose something to be bared. So they went to talk about some deep things there, and they were in front of the king's gate. In front of the king's gate. Sha'ar, the entrance of the marketplace there. A public meeting place, the court, like the court all around the Mishkan. Since we're talking about the king here, we're talking about Yahuwah. It is a place where he is established for his presence. The court around the Mishkan, the gate, the Mitzbeach, a place of reasoning and understanding, calculating, to reckon on. In other words, to make sure you are doing something is what it means to reckon on. And so this is a time of reflection now, to look at the oaths that you have taken. This is a time of the emergence. This is the 50th day, Khamishshiym. They began to identify with the commandments of Yahuwah, the time when the commandments were given, during the days of Shavuot. We looked at the 7th week. Here now is the 50th day, Khamishshiym, and we see here a witness is going on. And this witness is concerning something that is going to bring life. Okay, they were in front of the king's gate. That's where they met, right there at the mountain. But the word of Yahuwah declares, because he has nothing left in the siege. In the siege. The siege was something that oppressed them, the form or a fashion to delineate. He knew nothing precisely as his knowledge was shaken. It means to be treated as a foe, to show hostility. There was a siege. You're not going to hear about the truth. You're going to hear some deception that's going on, and it's going to go on for so long that you're going to believe the lie. Going to believe the lie. So you're not going to have anything left in the siege if you're not studying to understand these things. And over in Midbar, the word of Yahuwah has declared in the Kukwai, you still don't break your word because everybody else is not doing it. You don't break your word. You gave your oath when you went in the water. Just because ain't nobody else doing it, you might find yourself alone. Still, you don't break your word just because there's nothing left in the siege. And so Mordecai begins to told him all that had happened to him. Yeah. The mark of the accusative is on all that. The understanding of life and how they had twisted things. He received the knowledge of the truth during the Pesach, and the story of a star during the Pesach. Alohiym told him to look into a few things, and he did. Okay, and he did a few things. He began to keep it, and it was a confirmation for him. So he took the time to look it up. He looked into it, looked it up, and it was confirmed. I released a video called "The Passover is in the Book of a Star." Who knew? You go back and look at that, and you see that he began there to make a change for himself. Began to make a change for himself. And he began to talk about the desperate straits in which the enemy shall distress you in all your gates. You know, the desperate straits, distress. Desperate straits, distress. That word there, H6693, suk, means to constrain, to press upon, to bring into straits. The definition of distress is in extreme anxiety, sorrow or pain, great danger or difficulty, in need of help, great danger, difficulty, suffering caused by a lack of money. Here it is. A state of physical strain. It's in the definition. Exhaustion. Or, in particular, difficulty breathing. I can't breathe. Please help. Distress at all your gates. Under siege. Under siege. All your gates. They were trying to overthrow the king's word. Okay? All the gates. They were not being set apart or Kodesh. They had just come up with some demonic thing, and that's what everybody believed in. That's what they were worshiping and calling on regarding spiritual things. It's the problem here. They were reading the same scriptures, and the people they trusted to do the right thing, those were the ones that they submitted to. And it turns out they were the ones that oppressed and distressed them. They're the ones killing you. Mordecai woke up and started reading the word for himself. He was convicted. He started worshiping different. He's knocking on the door right now. He's getting his witness together. He's in front of the king's gate, trying to get it right. That's what he's doing. Trying to get it right. He understood the severity. God declares he shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. All that proceeds out of his mouth. Time of witness now. You got to carry this thing forth. Begin to make a change. Spiritually speaking. The way that you worship now. Can't be doing that thing, the slaveholders taught you anymore. It's what they were faced with. The people that oppressed them, had them down as slaves, taught them, took the word and used it against them, and began to exercise a superior type of power that utterly destroys. You shall surely die. If you don't believe that, your words matter, then yeah, you will surely die. Sure enough, die. And so he's selling it all. And the sum of money that Haman had promised to pay into the king's treasury to destroy all of the praise of Yahuwah. All of the praise of Yahuwah. The mark of the accusative is on the money. We'et parashet. HaChesef. The sum of money. Kesef is silver. The money. The verb means to long deeply for, to yearn for something. What they longed and what they long for is called the sum. The sum. That word for sum is parish. H 6575 was parish. It is the exact statement or declaration, the thing distinctly declared and separate. That means to pierce, sting, and scatter. Sounds like the sting of death and the overwhelming destruction of it all, of the soul. Sting and scatter. Christianity has a parish also. They have their own definition for it, but it sounds just like the one that means to suffer death here, typically in a violent or sudden or untimely way, perish, to suffer complete ruin or destruction. For all of you who are attending parishes out there, does not sound like any relief to me. It's a wake-up call. That's what this was. Wake-up call. Knocking on the door. Amen. There is a desire for the destruction of the praise of Yahuwah. And the sum total of everything that is needed for that destruction will have its fulfillment in the days called Shavuot. Because a true witness must be given on Khamishshiym Yowm, the 50th day. And as we see in the story, Mordecai begins to lay out the false doctrine of all religions, which you know as Haman's letters, what they're trying to accomplish with their doctrine. And this is laid up in the king's treasuries. He has signed off on it, and he has allowed them to cast his truth to the ground, to trample it, and to bring sin to the people's knowledge. This will not go unpunished. And he has allowed them to practice and to prosper. They have entered into a trap in which there is no escape for the wicked. To the Pentecostals, to the Jews, and Messianic Jews alike out there, you have this thing in common: a goat's mentality. And there will be a destruction, as it is written concerning those days and the 50th day, Khamishshiym Yowm. You'll truly see a display of power there. I want to thank you so much for watching. Chag Sameach, to the Kodeshim out there, Lehi Shalom.